panel is Murad Abusalim. He's the director of design for Origoworks. He's one of the first people I met when I came back to Brownsville, Murad and Eric. And so we've been working together for a long time. But I will kind of turn over the mic to Murad and let him take it from there and enjoy the visuals.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I think it's afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Some of you have been here since morning. I hope you've been enjoying the sessions and the panels and have learned some good information to take back. So as Ramiro have mentioned, this is the coolest panel. I'm just kidding. It's about design and how design kind of help change and transform our region through the built environment. And I'm very excited and thrilled and happy to be kind of moderating this panel in particular, because I'm going to hear from some of my dearest friends, colleagues, and professionals who have been actually part of this force that trying to elevate architecture and transform our built environment for the betterment of our community. So with us today is Javier Huerta. He is the principal architect at Origoworks. Yes. Javier, born and raised in Brownsville, he earned his architecture degree, professional architecture degree from UT Austin, one of the best-known architecture schools in the nation. Right after, he joined one of world-renowned architecture firm in San Antonio, Lake Flato. He worked there for several years before he decided to come back to hometown Brownsville and co-found the Origoworks, where he has been a principal architect for more than 25 years now, almost. For those who don't know, Origoworks is a wide spectrum service kind of company. We provide services ranging from feasibility studies, development, design, construction, property management, leasing. So it's like full package. If you need any new development, come to Origoworks. Also, we have Carolina Civarolo. That's how I say it, right? I got it. Yes. Dear friend, also a professional registered architect and also a lead accredited professional. She, not from the Valley, but she chose Valley home. And she's been working in the Valley for quite some time now. She's still young. And she worked with Bilton House Simpson Gates architecture firm in McAllen for a while before her. She and her partner in crime and husband, Eric Diaz, co-founded the Orange Maid architecture firm based in McAllen, providing services again in design, construction, master planning, adaptive reuse, and so forth. And then finally, we have Chris Sias. Got it? All right. Believe it or not, this is the toughest part of my moderation today, the names. And Chris joined Megamorphosis architecture firm based in Harlingen in 2016. And shortly after, he became a partner in the firm. And he brings a lot of experience, not just in design, but also in construction management, collaboration with other industry in the construction design field, and collaboration with the community. So with that said, I'm gonna actually turn it to them so they can share with us some of their experience and some of the beautiful projects that they have been directly engaged in that have made a tangible impact in our community. So I will start with Carolina. I know you have worked in different projects throughout your career, but if you don't mind, share with the audience here some of those highlight projects that you chose to share with us, and kind of explain to the audience how those projects, in your opinion, have helped reshape or elevate architecture, and also how they have directly impacted in a positive or negative manner the way people interact, communicate, work, live, and so forth. So with that said, I turn it to you.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. It's great to be in a room with people who I think everyone here appreciates how much this area is growing, both in Cameron County and Hidalgo County. And so I'm excited to share some of the projects we have worked on in the past years and how we're helping to build this area. The first project we want to highlight is actually here in Brownsville, and we did it several years back when we started our firm. We got a call from a client who wanted to build I call it a PPEC for short, but it's a prescribed pediatric extended care center. And, you know, looking back at it now, you realize like the impact that it did have. There wasn't a place where people could take their medically challenged children. So a lot of these caretakers were, you know, stuck at home all the time taking care of their children. So this center allowed parents to take their kids to a safe place where they could get some medical attention, therapeutic services, all kinds of things for the development of their children. And so it was it was an honor to work on that type of project. It was the first of its kind in Texas. So we were very proud to be able to work on it. And we think as a community, it allowed the parents to to be of service in the community. They could go back to work, they could have their own life and know that their children were being cared for. So that was a project that we're very proud of that's here in Cameron County. I'm from the place that starts with an M that none of y'all want to hear. But we focus on a lot of work in Hidalgo County, so we are proud to do this project here. I don't know what's next.
You want to share another project, or this is the only one?
Yeah, I don't know if are they going to flip the slide?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
We have, I don't know, Celine, are you in charge, or do you want me to give me the clip? Sorry for the technical difficulties. Oh, it's not working. Oh, it's working now.
All right.
I see.
So go
ahead.
This was another one that we were trying to just focus on projects that, I guess, as an architect, we feel all of our projects impact the community in some way. So this is more of a public project that we did in Mission, Texas. It was a park revitalization. So they came to City Mission came and they had a very old amphitheater that took up the entire property, and it was in disrepair, you know, broken. You would not want to take your abuelita down the steps in that amphitheater. It was just, they were just waiting for a lawsuit to happen. So we kind of scraped it and said, what does the city need? It's in the heart of Mission, and they needed to keep the public space, but how could we use it more efficiently? So we made a smaller amphitheater, a stage where they could have performances, a little covered area, and then set up lots of places around the park for vendors to set up their booths. So they can use this space in different manners, and it's close to downtown and where they have events. So it was a fun project to work on, and we know that it's being highly used by the city. The next slide, I think, will show what it was before. So this is what it used to just be. The entire site was just covered with these benches. It actually looks nicer than it was in person, but it was a fun project to work on. Then let's see. The next slide was probably going to be my favorite project, and it's a small project, but I think it's how can an office space impact people, and I think living, you know, we live, work, and play, so this project is dear to our heart because it's actually our architecture studio. So it was an old building from 1974, and it was a bar for, I guess, many, many different owners, and it's just a nice bar scene in McAllen, I guess, for a while. And then it became, you know, in disrepair. It was just in foreclosure, and it sat there empty for many years until we saw it, and we said, you know what? We have a vision, and we can change this, you know, ugly building into something better. And we knew that we were currently working in our kitchen, I would say. We had just started our company, and we were like, we want a space with natural light and where people feel at home when they come to work every day. So we popped open that big window on top of it, which floods the studio with natural light. And we love coming to work and getting to, you know, expand our vision across the valley. So we think how it's so important for people to make sure that their businesses and their staff are happy in where they are working, because that will make people do their job better. So it's a testament. This project is a testament to that. So there's what it was before. It was a building with no windows whatsoever, and we just kind of peeled all the layers off of it. It had actually 4 layers of shingles on it. It was just a really terrible building that had no love in it. And with our very small budget, we were able to convert it, and we've been going from our kitchen table to now an office of 10, and we love being there. And I guess one last thing, I think what happened to this property was that it was in such a disrepair. There were some bad things happening on the property. Y'all can imagine what was happening there. And no one had, saw the value in renovating it. But after we renovated it, we could see like all the neighboring properties started to really fix their own properties. So it was like a trickle effect. One person makes something nicer and people next door are like, okay, we should paint our building. We should redo these apartments down the street. So it really caused a trickle effect. And I think there's a big value in that, in taking an old building and redoing it and really uplifting the area slowly.
All right, that's awesome. Chris, I'll let you go next and share with us some of your projects that you have worked on.
Yeah, okay, sure, thank you. And really happy to be here with everyone. I'm gonna let them queue up the slides. And so as I was thinking about the title of this panel, it's Adaptive Design or Adaptive Architecture, or Adaptive Design and Bold Architecture, I'm sorry. So Adaptive Design and Bold Architecture. And Carolina, I like how you talked about that adaptive portion. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take you guys on a tour of 3 projects that I've selected that I wanted to share with you guys. And you see on the image there, one is located in Weslaco, Texas. The other one's going to be in Lyford, Texas. And lastly, we're going to finish in McAllen. And so if you hit the next button for the slide, it's going to animate and it's going to zoom in. Oh, not quite. Dang it. This is in Weslaco. This is, if you're familiar with Weslaco, it's Business 83 and the intersection of Texas Boulevard. And that's where City Hall is. And so this City Hall building was originally a grocery store. It was an Albertsons. And so the city has come in and they've started adapting to that building and transforming it. If you go to the next slide. And so the challenge with this for us was we had a program of 21,000 square feet that the client had asked us to cram into a footprint of 15,000 square feet. And another reason I like sharing this project is because we're sitting here in this Center for Commercialization, and this is the sister project to this one. This is the Weslaco Center for Innovation and Commercialization, also part of RGV. And if you go back a slide, so this is the corner of that building before. And I think maybe a few slides were skipped, but what I wanted to share is that we were able to take a really drab corner of a building that had no identity and reimagine it. And the form that came, now if you go to the next slide, this new identity that came and the form of that tower, it's really driven not so much by, hey, we want to put a tower here, but the function of the space. We took what was a single-story space, and if you would click the next slide, I'm not sure what's going to come up next anymore, but there was an image in the slideshow that showed the interior of the space before, and it showed a section drawing, and you can see that what really drove some of the decisions that were made. So there's the picture of before. So you can see that even though it's a single-story building, it had room for the potential of a second floor, and so we were able to cram a second floor in there, which necessitated an elevator, which then gave us an opportunity to create that identity. Next slide. And here is a picture of the finished product at night. I like these pictures with the dramatic lighting, and I really like that there's people using the building. Man, these slides are out of control. But here's some images of the finished product. I like this one in conjunction with that first image that showed the empty shell space, just because you can really see the transformation. And what I want you to get from this is adapting, just like Carolina was talking about. We were able to adapt a program that shouldn't have fit into this building. We were able to adapt it to fit into the building and use it as a driver to give it an identity on the exterior with this tower and the elevator. Let's see what comes up next when you hit the next button. So Click next. Okay. The next project takes us to Lyford. And this is also a project of about adapting, but this is a different kind of adaptation. And what I want to drive here is this is adapting to a community. The city of Lyford is a very rural agricultural community, and it's got this identity. And people from the outside may see it, but on the inside, they may forget, this is our identity. We're an agricultural and a farm-based community. These are some pictures that I took as we were starting this project in Lyford. It's a clinic. There was no clinic serving the area, so people that needed to go see a doctor were driving to Raymondville just to go see a doctor, and so the community really needed a clinic. Next slide. If you stop here, the city of Lyford, when they started embarking on this project, there was this building, and I don't know if there's, maybe the next slide will show the aerial. Nope, go back. Right here. And the building on the bottom right of this image with the brown roof, that was the most recently completed building in Lyford. And if you go back to the image that shows it from the street view, the city came to us and said, hey, we'd really like a building like this one. It looks really nice and it's functional. Not that one, but before. There we go. We really like that building. And I said, that's okay, but what this building lacks is identity. This could be anywhere USA, right? I mean, there's nothing about this building that says this is Lyford. This building has not adapted to its community. And so as we went through the program, I think there's a floor plan image that you might find in the slide. Here you go. What really drives this program is the number of exam rooms, and we were able to take that and create a rhythm. There's exam room, exam room, exam room, and at the end we were able to punctuate that with a nice big lobby that would do two things. It would direct people's view. You see on the north there's this curved element, and that directs people's view to the outside, and that curved element also directs people to the corridor, which then leads you to the exam rooms. And so there's kind of a cool function happening in that lobby space. If you go to the next slide now, it should be an image of the exterior. And so that's what the exterior of the building ended up looking like. It's composed of very simple materials. It's galvalume, so just metal sheet panel with exposed fasteners. It's wood-framed construction with some pre-manufactured trusses, very inexpensive. And then we celebrated the wood frame, as you can see on the ribbon window, by kind of this marching pattern of the wood, punctuated by what's needed with the black areas, which are plywood, which is required for shear. And then that actual ribbon is polycarbonate panels. This is panels that are used in greenhouses, agricultural. This is all agricultural kind of materials. But we elevated it, and it's done in a way that's, very architectural, and, there's a lot of craft going into this. And so we think it's a very beautiful use of materials that are humble, that are of the community, that resembles what Lyford is. And so I think this was a very successful way of adapting a building to the identity of a community. Here's a picture of the lobby, and you can see how that directs you. And they're still working. There's a working field where they're growing crops. And I really like that connection of that lobby to that working field because it reminds people, what the community is. Next slide. And this is an image of the corridor. Color-wise, doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. But if you go to the next slide, you can start seeing in the exam rooms, there's these pops of color. And what's really cool about that last image is a lot of times you go to a doctor's office, you go to the exam room, and it's just this really drab space with terrible lighting. That ribbon window with just simple polycarbonate panels brings in so much natural light. It's really beautiful quality of light in that space, and it also provides privacy because you can't see through those opaque panels. And so it's a really cool way to bring light into a building. Next slide. And we started introducing colors in different spaces. So different exam rooms got different color. And if you look at the image on the bottom right, this reminded me of harvest time. And that was the inspiration. This is farm, and harvest time is an important time of the year, and it's celebratory, and there's color. And so I wanted to have color in this building as well. Again, tying back to the identity of being a agricultural community. Next slide. And I think it fits in really well with its agricultural identity. Next slide. And here's a final image with the dramatic lighting and stuff. So the last project I have, if you click next, will take you to McAllen. And this is bold architecture, is what I'm going to talk about on this last slide. The project is Quinta Mazatlan. I don't know if our slideshow stopped. But it's located, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the World Birding Center of the Rio Grande Valley. It's comprised of, I believe, 9 different areas, 9 different parks and places, of which Quinta Mazatlan is one of them. And so it takes you to 10th Street and Sunset Boulevard, which is where Quinta Mazatlan is located, right across the street from the International Airport in McAllen. Next slide. And this is the World Birding Center at Quinta Mazatlan. Quinta Mazatlan is a historic building where you can go and visit right now. It's an old adobe building, and there's a lot of inspiration to draw from in that building itself. Our region is part of the World Birding Center, if you go to the next slide. Because you can see this is a map that's created by Cornell University, and it shows migratory paths of all different kinds of bird species that migrate. And you can see where we are located geographically in our continent is pretty unique because it funnels, the birds funnel through this area, and so it really is quite the birding opportunity. Next slide. And so the project was Quinta Mazatlan would like to expand their mission, essentially. Their mission is to teach people about ecology, teach people about the importance of nature, and we started meeting with the client, and we had a meeting with a room full of people, and we started asking them a bunch of questions, and write down your wish list, and we distilled all of that information on all these words and created this graphic here, and you can see kind of the big bold ones, Bucky's for birds. Like, this really became a bird-centric kind of project, and something that was going to be bold, and something that we wanted to they wanted to have it as an icon as well. Next slide. And so we took the 15 acres that were available and started transforming it, and through design. Next slide. It became 3 distinct parts: a park and ride, which we treated. Every project needs to have a parking lot. In this case, we chose to sacrifice, maximizing parking, and instead, create a really cool balance between how many cars we could fit on site, and get vegetation and trees and direct water into a rain garden. And so that's the park and ride. Next slide. The building portion of the building is what we call the queue and the palm house. The next slide. The last portion of the project is this nature play area and adventure gardens where people could wander Quinta Mazatlan, walk some trails, and learn about ecology. Next slide. This is an image of what that parking garden would feel like. So we brought in over 300 native trees, or we're going to bring in over 300 native trees. This one is under construction currently, and 1,000 native plants as well to flesh out that parking garden. Next slide. And we've created an experience because we believe the experience should start from the moment you arrive on site. It's not when you get in the building. It's parking and walking to the building should be an experience as well. And so this is a pathway that we created that's lined with ebony trees, and that takes you to the front of the building. Next slide. And you see what the floor plan is here. It's a building that consists of about 14,000 usable square feet. It's a 2-story building. Next slide. And one thing that we really encouraged the client to do here was turn their program inside out. So when we first met with the client, this was, take 30,000 square feet and, build us a big building with a lot of classroom spaces and, a lot of activities that happen indoor. And we were able to flip that inside out a little bit, and we created a lot of spaces that are outdoor use and just not inside the building. And this is a view of the second floor, and so we're using actually roof space as outdoor space as well. Next slide. And this is what this building, this is a rendering of what this project is going to look like. And the bold part is, you see this kind of steel structure that spans over the building, and that's really a bold thing. The city really wanted to do something iconic. They wanted something that would relate to birds, And so this strategy here was to design a kind of a nesting feature that spans the building. It creates shade for the building as well and for the occupants of the roof level. And there's going to be vines that get to grow up and cover that as well. Next slide. And this is a rendering of coming through the front of the main entry gate. Next slide. We took cues from, the idea wasn't to mimic the mansion, but we wanted to respect the architecture of the mansion as well. And so it's got the arches, but we didn't just want to copy and paste, the red tile roof. And so this is a modern interpretation of what could be an old Adobe Spanish style house. Next slide. There's a picture of the current state of construction. Next slide. And the picture of the visitor center, which is also currently under construction. Next slide. The interior palette, we were inspired by nature and by the existing mansion and by the culture of our region. And so there's a lot of colors and textures going on. Next slide. And we wanted to capture that in the interior as well with texture, color, tile. Next slide. And this is the second floor. Next slide. And then the adventure garden area is also a really unique and bold thing because we're taking the story of the Rio Grande Valley, and actually the main thing that is the Rio Grande Valley, which is the Rio Grande, and how it starts in Colorado, ends in the Gulf of Mexico, and we're telling a story of how that river flows through the experiences that you take. In this instance, this is actually a rendering of, in New Mexico, there's the Rio Gorge Bridge, which is the tallest bridge in the U.S. The Rio Grande travels underneath that bridge, and it carves out a canyon there. And so this is telling that portion of the story on the site. Next slide. This is a picture of it, currently under construction, and it's coming out very, very close to what the renderings show. Next slide. And the river terminates, of course, in the Gulf of Mexico. And we created a splash pad where kids can come and play at the end of the river and at the Gulf of Mexico. So this is a really bold design in terms of the story that's trying to be told, the execution of the architecture, the vision of the client, and we're just so happy to be a part of it. So that's the end. I will let...
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is very inspiring and excited. I will let Javier share with us some of the projects that he chose to share with us today.
Thank you for having me here. I'm going to focus on really rehab projects that we have been working on and how rehab projects impact real estate. And I wanted to start off with, I think it was mentioned earlier, this was the condition of the building that we rehabbed and we've named Botica Loft. It was originally a pharmacy building. And next slide. On the inside, this building had been abandoned for many, many years. In fact, on the inside, the floors had actually shifted from the walls and had sunk about 2 feet. There was about, I don't remember, but about 3 feet of pigeon excrement on the top floor. And it was, it was a pure, gutted everything and rehab it. Next slide. This was during the process of it, and you can, next slide, you can see everything, taking it down to the bare bones, left and new wood framing. It is currently, next slide. This is how it is now. Currently, Calacas is finishing moving into the bottom floor, but the units above are all rented and working well. And this was a good collaboration with the city because we were able to work with them to get parking spaces and make sure these downtown projects are very tricky to do. Like as mentioned earlier, if you don't have tax credits, if you can't work well with this, you got to work well with the city. The construction of it, very difficult. Next slide. This is the interior stair going up. Next slide. I'll try to go fast because I know there's a lot of more stuff. But these are some of the interior units. Next slide. Spaces that yeah, everything on the inside was completely new. Next slide. This was another project, and I think this was a condition of what we call the livery, which is on 10th and Adams. And as we were doing remodel of it, the process and again, tax credits, really having a vision of it's a great building. We're lucky to live in a city that has a lot of great buildings downtown, and there's a lot of potential with the buildings. But this was a building that used to be a reposada. Originally, it was a livery. And back in the turn of the century, or last century, a livery was where you took your horses and your carriage and basically a parking for horse and carriage. Well, it just so happened that the year he opened was the year the automobile was introduced, so it didn't do too well. But it's been different many functions, from reposada to auto repair. So as we kind of remodel it and saw the advantage of, hey, we have a big space, it's a neat open space. Next slide. We developed it into a event center, which just recently opened up. Again, these buildings, if you get into a rehab project downtown, you got to have patience. Everywhere you turn, there's something that comes up, and you have to address and tackle, and there's a lot of unforeseen conditions. So we've had different events there, and you can go next slide. That the building's been used. There's been exhibits on the second floor. There's a gallery, and there's been a few exhibits, a few parties on the second floor, and on the first floor, it just recently opened, and there it is, empty, kind of setting up for a party. And there's been several events now, and next slide. There was a wedding there that had over 400 people, which was crazy. But the experience of getting married in downtown Brownsville, that you can get married at the cathedral, everybody walked to the event center, and the party started at 3. It didn't end till the next morning. So it was a very crazy event. Next slide. This is a project that, and you know, what is the impact of an architect? The most important thing is having the vision. But this is the old Edelstein warehouse that many years ago, I've grown up with this building. I've always seen it, and for me, I always liked this building, and everybody was like, pretty ugly building. In fact, when my partner and I were talking about putting our offices in this building, he goes, look, you're crazy, but I think I know what you're doing, so let's do it. So we were able to take this building, have a vision to really make it an impact. I mean, this building didn't have an impact on the expressway, only to say that it's a warehouse. And now, as you go through these images of us kind of remodeling the building had no windows, but like I always tell clients, the bones are there. Where the windows, the building actually tells you where the windows were going to be going. Next slide. We did have to cut slabs to put the elevator, put the stair shaft, and again, unforeseen conditions. We did the construction of this too, but we had one of our subcontractors that quoted us to cut all these openings, and it was going to take this amount of time. And the guy, it took him maybe double the amount of time, but I couldn't say that it was his fault, because all the floors were the same thickness, about 6-inch slab. The top floor was about 18 inches thick. So it took him several more weeks just to cut that top floor. But he did, he didn't charge us more. And that was, that was a good subcontractor. I would have paid him. I mean, he did the work, but that was a good subcontractor. Next slide. That's the upstairs, and and as our company has grown, I don't think we saw the vision that we would ever fill up, the top floor. Now we are with everything we do. But originally we thought, we can have a basketball gym up there. And we actually almost had that. But so we can go up there and play basketball. And there's a big group. At that time, there was a big group of us then with other friends that were playing a lot of basketball, and we could just have it there. Next slide. So that's the building now that we're our office in, and it's for us it was, well, the building was bought in terms of kind of the real estate. The building was bought for the right price. Even if we just put our office, it was okay. I mean, we weren't gonna. It was a good investment. But what it turned out to more than that, just because of fixing it up and investing in something that was already there. Next slide. The other thing that we did do, and I don't have another slide, but again, partnerships with the city is very crucial. And we partnered up with the city. This is the hike and bike trail that was behind it. We redesigned the hike and bike trail. We said from the building would make the investment. We would pay for all the hike and bike that we reshifted. We made it bigger. We added lights. We added a little structure, a little sitting area. People can go there, and if they have a flat tire, there's a little, or you can put air in your tires. So we invested the money, and we had a trade-off. We did a parking that we needed for the building, and it was a win-win for the city and for the building itself, the development of that. Next slide. And on the inside, VentureX has been a great success there. On the next slide, of housing, giving the opportunity to. Similar to here, but you can rent a small office there, and it's all inclusive. You've got your bathrooms, you've got your mail, you've got a snack area, and it's been very well received. In fact, it's just expanded, and the building is I think 100%. I mean, I don't think there's nowhere else to build in the building, and we started off on the first floor without the rest of the building being built. We went to the second floor, and our office moved several times, and most of the office is here, but they know we actually moved next door to oversee the construction, because one of the things you guys need to understand on all these rehab projects, it is, it's a very jealous construction process. It wants all your time. There are things that come up all the time that you have to address. So, next slide. This is a stairwell that we built. There was no stair. A lot of people come in and it's like, well, and very surprised that the elevator, next slide, that we built them, they thought it was there already. So, next slide. Next slide. So this is our project, our newest project, I would say, and we do have a lot of other new projects, but I think these rehab projects there's a lot of opportunities on rehabbing buildings, because cost of a construction has gone up. You have already the investment of foundation, some of the structure in these projects. So how do you bring it up? How do you bring a plaza that was built in the early 70s to our needs? So this is Sable Market, our newest project that it's currently under construction. Next slide. We've actually we thought we were going to go one direction, and we had already studied the steel structure. We studied everything, and when we opened it up, our construction team and some of our design team, they come to me and they're like, "Hey, what if we did this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So no more columns. We were able to, we're heading a different direction, opening up that plaza. Next slide. So I think there's an event center that's happening. It really is these overhangs with these brackets that, next slide, that we're going to be working with now. It changes, it just gives that plaza a new look. And building this from scratch would have been, a lot of additional monies that, it was all there. The steel was there, and how to reuse it. Next slide. So we do have, there's what we call 3 courtyards. There's 2 bigger courtyards on the south side and the event center courtyard. They feel different because as we come to find out, and it's happened to us on several projects, that you might get the construction documents that were done from, we had the drawings from 1970 but they weren't built like that. So they didn't follow it. So when you open it up and you do a lot of more investigation, so there's a difference between the way and here, the reason why one courtyard is going to have a lower canopy than a higher extension is because they ran their steel differently. And by doing that, we just couldn't do do it the other way. So, which, happy accidents. It just gives it a different feel from the smaller courtyards in scale to the bigger one. Next slide, if there is any. That's it. That's it. That's it. So,
Wow, this is amazing. Make me excited. I want to see more. So, thank you. For the sake of the time, and I think it's kind of related, I would like to open the floor here for kind of discussion, for the remaining of the session. But I want to basically follow up with what you guys, the 3 of you, have shared. Obviously, we see the opportunities, right, in the valley, especially with the unique, wonderful heritage that we have, whether historical buildings or culture itself, but also the growth, right, that we've been hearing about. So can you, whoever want to go first or whatever, talk about what excites you as a designer, architect to work in the valley, and what are some of the challenges that faces you? And I know you kind of alluded to some of it, but if you want to elaborate on that. The challenges and the opportunities that excite you and make your life hell. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
No one's. So what is exciting about being in Brownsville is actually the one that gives me the biggest headache too, is renovating old buildings. As anyone who's been in our office, and we've been doing renovations for a while, they're very fun and exciting when you're done with it, but it is a very excruciating process to get to that point. And more than anything is because of what we do. We are very cognizant from the very beginning of a budget, and I think it's been talked about in other panels, but making sure that if this is going to be a rental, if this building is going to be rentable, so it is very crucial as we're going along, doing numbers, design price, because in the end, we might have a very successful, very neat building, but if in the end the numbers don't work, I mean, it's not a successful project for us. So, but downtown Brownsville was exciting. I mean, there's a lot of buildings, and I didn't even show. I mean, we've got just on the design side, we're working on a Jardín, which is a very exciting project. But boy, you can talk to the housing authority. I mean, that is once it's done, a year from now, everybody's going to be very happy. But just getting to that point is very difficult. And but just like El Jardín, there are so many other buildings here that that are exciting to work on.
Chris, Carolina?
I think one of the things that excites me about working in the Valley are just there's so many things that there is to draw from. There's a lot of culture and there's history, and every place has that, right? So it's a matter of going out and finding what that is in the place that you're at. The Rio Grande Valley, you know, birding is a big thing. Did you know brick making was a really huge thing in the Rio Grande Valley, and the ladrilleros that formed up along the river back in the day because of all the clay deposits and, you know, that rich history of brick making. There's a lot of beautiful brick buildings in Brownsville. There's a lot of beautiful brick buildings in Roma, Texas. So like learning about the culture, and I'm not from the Valley, so I've been learning these things, so it's a really exciting thing to learn about. And the other thing that excites me about architecture is working within constraints. And it sounds weird, right? Like, why would you be excited about boxing yourself in? You know, there's constraints of code. There's constraints of what a building gives you in renovations. There's constraints of budget. There's constraints of client wishes. Like, you just feel like you're always boxing yourself in. But what's cool about that is that's what starts defining the puzzle that you need to solve. And I find that exciting. And so those are a couple things I find exciting.
Thank you very much.
Let me just add to something that's kind of interesting. You said constraints. A lot of times, I guess as architects, I don't know if you guys get it, but, you know, would you love to design your house, you know, from scratch? And I'm like, no, not really. That is probably my worst nightmare. I would never finish because you don't have a constraint. So, and the funny thing is, just as coming out of college, and I helped both my two bosses, Ted Flato and David Lake, with their houses. They were renovating their houses, and I was like, well, why aren't you guys building it from scratch? And they told me that, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. I'd love to design my house, and now, you know, that's what I did now is got to remodel an old house because constraints are really important, or you will never finish.
I agree with both of you guys. And yes, Javier, my partner are trying to design our own house, and it's been, 2 years? We can't do it. You would think two architects could design their own house. It's the hardest thing in the world. So that's, like, I think, leading to that, we like renovations because they are more challenging, I think, than ground-up projects. I mean, architecture in general is a challenging profession because it is a miracle to really get a building built. Sometimes it takes years and years for a project to come to fruition, and it's a lot of work behind the scenes. You know, most people think we just draw lines and show pretty pictures and this building appears, but it's really like the funding behind it, the property search, the working with the cities, working with the engineers, working with the entities, and all the surprises that come along the way. So getting it done in the end really it's a miracle. There's nothing more exciting than, you know, seeing a finished product because it's just so much hard work that goes into it.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the codes, building safety, parking requirements, all of that good stuff, right? So you add to the while. So thank you very, very, very much for very inspiring presentation and very uplifting project that you have shared with us. It makes us all feel more proud about our region and the heritage that we have and the opportunities out there to make our region really unique in every sense through the design build and through the built environment. So with that said, I would like to thank our panels again. Please join me live for each one of them. Thank you. Ramiro, you want to take it from there? Continue the program.
Yeah, so it's going to be a real quick turnaround. We're just going to add a chair, and then we'll start with the industrial to kind of maybe try to gain a little time. So just give us about 5 minutes and we'll come back.